solid. Okay. So if you have too much moisture, and we'll talk about a little device that you can use, if you add too much moisture, you can over polymerize, and that wherever that adhesive is, you're going to have a band of white because every lash has been shock cured. They're going to end up falling off. So you might as well do yourself the favor, take them off and start all over. Okay. But if you see it on one from the jump, take it off and be like, oh, I know what I just did, and start over versus waiting till you get them all done and then you over polymerize them. Then you got to start over. Okay. So your ideal humidity ranges are 40 to 60%. And in your lash rooms, there are hygrometers in the room that will read the humidity level for you. And it'll also read the temperature for you, or it'll show what it is. They also have the date and the time and the temperature and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Now, with your adhesives, you should be dating your adhesive. So when you open, if you open your adhesive today, on the bottom with a Sharpie, write today's date. It should last you for 30 days from the day that you open it. Okay. You want to shake it vigorously for 60 seconds before each use. And then your glue should come out pure black, or your adhesive should come out pure black. If it looks gray, that carbon black and that cyanoacrylate didn't mix properly. So you need to cap it and shake it again. It has to be. And when you're shaking it, can't be just like this. You gotta vigorously. Okay. So make sure you're shaking it that way. Then you want to discard the first drop in the trash before each service. So what I like to suggest is when you take the backing off your under eye pad, save that plastic backing, dispense your first drop on that, because cyanoacrylate and cotton spark fumes. And if you throw it away, it could start a fire in the trash. So remember, water shock cures. So if you have your water bottle and you did it on a paper towel, you can always squirt water on that and make sure that it diffuses the adhesive. So the backing on your gel pad is plastic. So that's why I say I just reserve that to dispense the first drop. Then I'll just fold it up and wait till it sticks, and then it's trash. Okay. Yeah, girl, it's serious business.
Crazy.
It is. It's science. It's science. So, and this is what I'm going to tell you, and I'm probably telling you ahead of time. But when you're lashing, you're going to use a piece of tape on your crystal, and that's where you're going to start dipping. If I see that you're dragging your lash across, guess what's happening? All that adhesive is on the tape and not on the back of your lash. So then when you go to lash and your lashes are falling, well, I don't know why. I do. Why? Your adhesive is here and not on the back of the lash. Because if I don't have a sandwich of natural lash adhesive extension, I don't have retention. It's going to go flip eventually. If not right on the spot, eventually, before it should. Okay. So the other thing, we have the under eye pads, and I always see swipes. That's a huge no-no for the first lesson that I just taught you. But the second reason is because we have moisture in our eyes. And then if we leave that adhesive, our client's eyes will start to water or they'll turn red. So we cannot have swipings here. Okay. We got to keep that off of there. We should not be swiping. Swiper, no swiping. I will teach you how to dip your lash properly. Okay.
I am so glad because I be tearing up every time I get my lashes, and this explains why.
Right here.
Every single time, like, and this eyes is bad.
Yes. They should not be swiping here. They didn't have me as their educator.
That's why I got the best.
Okay. So now, okay. You want to, it says wipe the tip with a cosmetic sponge, but you're not going to have a cosmetic sponge to wipe the tip with. That's why I say reserve the backing of the gel pad. That's going to be best for you. And then here's the thing. If we know that our adhesive thrives with moisture, if we are not capping our cap back on tightly and it's just kind of wobbly, guess what? That moisture is going to get in there, and your adhesive, when you go to open it, you ain't going to be able to open it because it cured itself shut. Or if you do open it, it's gonna have a white ring on the nozzle and be like, Felicia, you gotta go buy another one. Okay, so make sure you recap it tightly. Okay, now you also want to make sure that you store it upright, because if it leans and then that seepage happens, then it could also cure itself shut. So always make sure that your adhesive, wherever you're keeping it, that you store it upright. You really have to baby this. Like, you have to baby your tools, because this is your moneymaker. Okay. Now, what I will tell you is on Amazon, you can buy lash adhesive storage. It's a small airtight container. You actually have to press the buttons, you pull it up, and you can hear that. And then there's some that have like a little center with little, I want to say like little slots where you can actually slide your bottles of adhesive in there. Okay. So when you open up your adhesive, you're going to have that little silica pack. You can throw that in there and then seal it back up. But what I'm going to tell you is, because we know about the moisture and what it does, do not put your primer in with your adhesive in that airtight container, because yeah, you set yourself up for failure. And that's not where we're setting you up for. Okay. The only thing that goes in there is adhesive. Okay. Okay.
Like the different adhesives to use, like for the
We can touch on that.
okay.
Yes. Okay. So now, if you get a kit, Rolly kit, and it goes from your car to your house to school, to your car to your house to school, and back and forth, those are temperature fluctuations. You've got to make sure that your adhesive is in a good temperature. So read your manufacturer's instructions, and it will tell you cool, store in a cool, dark place. Some will say refrigerate. If it has to be in the refrigerator, then you have to refrigerate it. Okay. Now, just know that a lot of times, you know how we go say quality, we want the best, we want this, we want that. If you're going to do the same for your adhesive, you're probably going to pay more for better adhesive. So right now you have trial and error. You're going to see girls, well, I like this one, and I like this one, and I like that one. That's okay. But you're provided a kit, and that's the kit you're expected to use at school. Okay. And I'll go over why. And then you want to dispense a new drop every 20 to 30 minutes, or dependent on your environment, it could be 15 minutes. Okay. And why? Because of retention. And why? Because there's moisture in the air. So what ends up happening is your adhesive can start to thicken. And if I walk up and I see you dipping your extension in the adhesive and you come up with a gooey strip, I'm just going to look at you like, what the heck is this mess? Why are you working with that? I taught you better than that. 20 to 30-minute intervals. Okay. It should be a fresh drop. So if we're thinking in essence of time, okay, if our lashes are going to take us 2.5 hours to do, then I should have replaced my adhesive 5 times in that service. Okay. And there's little checkpoints that you can do every 30 minutes. There's things that you can do before you swap out that adhesive. You can check your lashes. You can make sure you don't have stickies. Make sure that you're working from left to right symmetrically. Grabbing your mirror and making sure that you don't have the lower lashes stuck to the top lash line. There's all these little things that you can do before you swap that out. Okay. And it gives your eyes a break. Honestly, it gives your hands a little break. Then you come back in and do it again. Okay. Any questions? Okay, so she asked about adhesives. So adhesives, there's different viscosities. Who knows what viscosity means? How thick or how thin they are, how runny or how thick they are. Okay, so the viscosity depends on how fast you need that adhesive to cure. Okay, so if we're doing classic lashes, maybe because it's a thicker lash, maybe we need it to dry 5 to 6 seconds. So what that means is when I place my lash, I'm going to count 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and then I can let go. It should be there. Okay. If I'm doing volume and I need to go a little bit faster, I can use an adhesive that, say, their drying time is 0.5 second to 1 second. That means I got to be out with the quickness, like That's it. It's going to dry that quick. Okay, so if you're a slower lasher and you're using that 1 second adhesive and I dip and I have my lash isolated and I dip, count that. I already hit 1 second. So when I get here, Miss Monica, I don't know what's going on. My lash won't stick. You got to get a little faster, darling, or you got to switch your adhesive. Okay, so just know that. So if it's a 0.5 second, half a second drying, if it's 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 6 seconds, just depending on what you're doing. Now, as far, I'm sorry,
What is our?
I think y'all's is 5 to 6.
Five?
So as far as sensitive adhesive, there's controversy with that because a sensitive adhesive has less amount of cyanoacrylate in it, meaning your retention is going to be less. So that means instead of if I'm lashing you and I schedule you at a 2-week fill, for her, it's going to have to be a 1-week fill. So she's going to have to be in my bed every week getting the fill because it's not going to hold the lashes as long as the regular adhesive. See what I'm saying? So if your client says, well, I'm allergic, okay, well, let's try it. Okay. So if she's allergic, you want to come in and just place like 5 to 10 to 15 lashes just on the outer corners on both eyes. You're going to wait the 24 hours. She's going to come back to you. If she's got swollen, red, watery eyes and her lash line is like, looks like it's been injected with Botox, she's allergic. If she's just got a little redness and a little itchiness, it's probably just a reaction and not an allergy. The allergy, she's going to have to go to the doctor or go pop some Benadryl, but you cannot say, go take Benadryl. I would just say, I know there's medication out there for allergies, but my best advice to you is to go see a physician. Okay, let me take these off for you right quick and then I'll let you go. And that's it. Easy peasy, right? Okay, any other questions? Moving on. Onliners, any questions? Is everybody still with me? Hello? Oh, it's 1 to 2 seconds. I thought 5 to 6. Okay, so here's the label for your 3D lash and brow. So it's 1 to 2 seconds. I thought it was 5 to 6 seconds, but forgive me because
So we gotta be fast.
yeah, girl. You'll get it though. You'll get it. Okay. So here are the ingredients on it: ethyl cyanoacrylate, carbon black, polymethyl methacrylate. And you'll have an assignment where you got to break that down and define that for me. Okay. Now, caution: store cool, place where children cannot reach. The last thing we want to see is these little girls that copy their mommies. Oh, I want to put lashes on. And she puts that adhesive on her eyeball, and then we're like, oh, we got to go to the ER. Or she glues her little finger shut. Mommy, it burns. Because this will cause a chemical burn. I've done it several times. Okay, and it does burn, especially if you get it on paper towel and you forget that you put it there and you grab your paper towel. Oh, it's, yes, that immediate. I've done that too. Okay, now avoid contact with the eyes and the skin. Eyes meaning your eyeballs. You can place it on the lashes, but we're not doing it like eye drops. Okay. For professional use only. So with this one, its effectiveness is between 59 and 77 degrees Fahrenheit. So the room can be a little bit warm, but you got to make sure that everything is working. Okay. And your humidity can be at 30 to 70%. So sometimes the girls will be like, Miss Monica, the humidity is too low. Okay. So I go run to the SC room and I go get a steamer and I go fill in, I turn it on and it starts to help. Okay, that's what I can do right now. That's what I have. But you guys can buy, like in your places of business, you can buy a humidifier, you can buy a dehumidifier, because Texas, we can't predict from one day to the next. And especially in the winter, the air is drier. So we need to have some humidity. Okay. And then you can visit 3dlashandbrow.com or you can come to school and buy some. Okay. Now, here, if you're going to take a picture of anything, take a picture of this, your non-lash candidate. So this means that your clients have these contraindications and they are not qualified, because not everybody has to have lashes and not everybody's qualified to have lashes. I used to be, but I'm not anymore. Okay? So obviously, if they don't have natural hair to work on, they gotta have some hair, meaning they gotta have lashes. Okay? Natural lashes are extremely short, thin, and fragile. And you'll see it when you start looking at people's lashes. You're going to be like, and we do a lot of sign language back there because we don't want to put a negative thought in the client's head. Because if I start saying, Miss Monica, the humidity is too low, guess what? I'm training my client. You know what I mean? Well, my lashes fell off. She said the humidity was too low. Girl, please. It wasn't that. What'd you do over the weekend? You know what I mean? Believe me, I already know all the tricks. Okay. So when we are conversating as to things that are going wrong, I need you to either call me over, or we use that disposable table paper. You can grab your pen and write a note. Okay. Because I guarantee you, we have specific clients that come in and they already know the lingo. They already know, oh, she struggled with the glue the last time my lashes fell off. I need to get a refill today. No, ma'am, you're not getting a refill. You can get a refill, but we're going to give you the exact same student. Well, I need it now. Well, she's not here today. You're going to have to wait till she comes back because you're her client. I want her to troubleshoot what happened because this is her learning environment. Well, I have a party to go to. Well, you're more than welcome to schedule your set somewhere else. Okay. We got y'all's back. Okay. Natural lashes are severely damaged by previous improperly applied extensions. So a natural lash does have that little wispy look at the tip. You will see that where it looks like a log, blunt. Okay, that tells me that maybe she pulled them off, she washed them off, or she slept them off. Something, right? And you can tell, you'll be able to see it when you start working on people. And then allergies to all adhesives. So if they're just, their eyes blow up and they're watery, they're itchy and whatever, they're allergic. So we're not going to do it. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay. So what you get in your kit is an actual lash tray where you open it up and all your lashes are in that tray. You want to transfer those lash strips that are in those trays to a palette. That would be your working palette. So in your kit, you should have gotten what looks like a white tile. That is where you will transfer those lashes. Okay. Now, we start you off with that tile because it has weight to it. But once you start getting acclimated, then you can go online and buy the thinner acrylic palettes. They have little organizers that looks like a little filing cabinet, or they're open that it's facing you and you can slide them in and cover them. Those lashes that you have should always be covered and protected because they are going to our client's eyes. Okay. Now, there is a way to sanitize them. You get a spray bottle of alcohol, you just spray them lightly, get your spoolie and brush through them. That way they're clean every client. Okay. Remember, we've got to take care of the eyes because when you do this independently and something happens to their eyes, it's your responsibility to figure out why. So learning these practices helps to minimize that because you want to gain the name. Oh, I like her because she does this. She's sanitary. She sets up. She cleans the lashes while I'm there. I know that she's going to maintain my eye health. Okay. That's what we want. That's our goal for you. Okay. So now when you're using your tweezers to isolate, you see this image right here. You see that one little lash? You have to do that with every natural lash that your client has. So if we naturally have 190 to 200 lashes per eye, you're going to do that about 380 to 400, 440 times, isolating just like that. That's where you get that clean look, that clean, fluffy lash line, because you have to ensure that you're isolating one natural lash at a time. And I will teach you how to do that. Okay. So there are two types of isolation where you do single-handed, which is just using the one tweezer to get in that lash line and isolate, or you can use both tweezers to scooch the lashes over and then come in and isolate. You can do it that way. What I don't want to see is where you're using your finger to scoot the lashes over and then you isolate. Because how do I know that you didn't do this and then you forgot to sanitize your hand and then you're coming in and you did this? Or you got an itch and then you're coming in and doing this. We're in a pandemic. We've got to be safer than that. Okay. So when you guys start taking your clients, when I go to check your work, the first thing I do is pump hand sanitizer in my hand. Then I sit down, sanitize. If I touch something else, I sanitize again. Because guess what? If that quick little 2 seconds is going to save me from a lawsuit, girl, I got 2 seconds for you all day long. You know what I mean? So like we got to make sure that you develop those habits also. Okay? All right. So now lash attachment. The lashes are placed 1 millimeter away from the natural lid line, right? So when we look at this image, and I'm going to break this down for you. So you see how this looks clean and fluffy? This was single lash isolation every single time. And waiting for that adhesive to show me the sign that it's curing. Where here, too much adhesive, you see how we've got gaps and we've got lashes crossed over? This is what we call stickies. And you see where the gap is right there? That's higher than 1 millimeter from the lash line. But you see all these gaps and then you see that thickness? That's too much adhesive. Okay? And this is probably where you're going to start here, but we're going to get you to here. Okay? Now, to make it a little bit more visual for you, the pink is the natural lash, the black is your extension, and the blue is the adhesive. Okay? So if we're looking at this, right, it's either going to be too little or too much. Okay? What we want is just that little sweet spot, and you want to go in about a quarter to about halfway up the lash line. We don't want to oversaturate or coat the lash with adhesive. Okay? Now, if you look here, this is telling me that she picked up her lash and she just went, dunked it in. Where here, she dipped it in, but she didn't go all the way up. Okay? So with this right here, when I come in with my spoolie to check your work, guess what's going to happen? That spoolie is going to get in that little opening right there and it's going to pop those lashes off. And here, this is going to teeter-totter in some way and it's going to come off. It's not going to stay. So this is what it should look like. And it's once you start working, you'll start seeing it. So this is that 1 millimeter from the lash line. So we're going to say that this is the client's skin. This is the natural lash, and this is the extension. So you see where we've got that 2 to 4 millimeter length increase. Okay, so that extension is almost cradled into the natural lash. That's what it should look like. Okay, so now if we come over here, adhesive zone eyelashes. Okay, so when I go to check your work, you see that I call this a little triangle. If I can see white through that attachment, I'm going to tell you your bases are lifted. Right here, your bases are lifted. So that spoolie is going to come in here and go and knock that off. But also the curl is too low or the curl is too high. And the attachment is at the curl and not at the base. So when you hear me saying base to base, this is what I mean right here, base to base. This is what it should look like. Okay, so your adhesive zone for your eyelashes, you can attach on top, you can attach on the right or the left, and you can attach underneath. The more success that I have underneath is with curlier lashes. Okay, now this is telling me that I came in a little too straight and I held it and I didn't let it relax the way it should have. It's too far up. Okay, that's going to come off. Okay. Retention is going to be poor retention. All right. So this is what it looks like if we were looking at it at a side view in real life. So that hair or that lash follicles is that hair is coming out of the follicle. We've got that 1 millimeter distance. So when I'm checking your work right here, I'm grabbing these extensions and I'm lifting up. And this is what I'm looking for, this little gap. If there is not a gap, that's telling me that this extension is touching the skin. that's going to cause irritation and swelling to your client's eye. And I'm going to ask you to remove those and attach it properly. Okay. All right. Any questions on that? Nothing yet? Okay. Okay. So now remember I was telling you how to dip your adhesive. So you should always have an adhesive dot or bubble or ball, whatever you want to call it. When you see the extension, it should be dipped into the center of the adhesive versus here where we're doing that swipe. Remember, swipe your nose, swipe the center, because this allows the entire lash base to get coated with the adhesive, where this, when you come out, is going to be swiped off. Okay, now the polymerization, where it starts to get thick, and you will actually see that glue string when it gets too thick. Okay, but it can also get so thick that you can't puncture the ball or the adhesive bubble. So that's way past 30 minutes there. Okay. Now, you guys will have assignments to do your eyelash extensions on a sponge. Now, I've seen assignments turned in where we've got eyelashes just going straight across. That's not ideal, but it's, if I wasn't clear, I wasn't clear. So here I'm going to make myself clear. The purpose of doing it on a makeup sponge is because it mimics the shape of the natural eye when it's closed. So what you want to do is come in and attach your lashes, your classic lashes. So one, it helps you with the mechanics on how to place, whether you're coming in at a 45 or a 90 degree. It also shows you if you're using too much adhesive, it's going to bleed out into the sponge. Or if you're not using enough, it's going to come off. But when it's just right, you're going to see, visually see that it's just right. Okay. And also, when you go in and you do your single or your classic application on the sponge, you can come back in and attach on top of that. Then you'll be able to see if the ends are too high or too low. You want to aim for that 1 millimeter. Does that make sense? Okay. And you want to go around in circle, and you can use the entire sponge. So once you go around the outer edge, then you can come in and create another row right around until you go all the way to the center, almost like a spiral effect. Okay, so you can use the sponge multiple times. Okay, so now classic placement on the mannequin. So those are isolated with your non-dominant hand. So if you're right-handed, you're attaching with the right hand. If you're left-handed, you're attaching with the left hand. Okay, and they are placed on the mannequin head 1 millimeter away from the lash line, and you work from side to side in a methodical manner. So if you see this diagram, well, the guys online can't see it, but whatever you do to the right eye, you're going to turn around and do it to the left eye. So it's going to be, if I'm sectioned out in 4 sections and I place in the first section, third section, fourth section, then I'm going to jump and do the same thing that I did on this side to this side. That's considered a pass. Then you'll do another pass, and then you'll do another pass. The reason being is if little Johnny broke his arm and calls his mom, and you're lashing his mom, and she's got to get up and run to the ER, and you were like, well, I wanted to make sure I got this eye right, and then I was going to jump to that eye. Well, no, that's not how we asked you to do it, because now look at this. She's got to get up and run off with one eye done, and the other eye is not. Okay, so what you do to the right, you do to the left, so that way there's symmetry, and you'll start to see the shape taking place. Okay, the other thing, once you start lashing your lashes to the natural lashes, at first you might struggle or fidget trying to isolate, but once you start applying those extensions, it's going to get easier for you to isolate. Okay, so just know that. And then you want to fan often and check for stickies. So you, in the lash rooms, there is a fan. And if we need one, I think I put one here. Yeah, there's a fan right here. So you can go through and fan. And checking for stickies just means that you get in there with your tweezers and you work through the lash line. And if they're stuck together, you get your tweezer on one side, the tweezer on the other side, and you don't pull up. You just pull apart. And it's easy peasy. Unless you use too much glue, then we got to come in with a hacksaw. JK. JK. Hold up. Okay, so now your preparation method. Why do we prep the lashes? Because they need to be clean. If there is any oil, any dirt, any debris, eyeliner, mascara, eyeshadow, facial products on or around those lashes, guess what the retention is going to be? Poor. So we've got to wash them. We've got to do a lash bath on them every single time. We had a client last week. She was like, "Oh, I'm just here for a few days. Don't take my makeup off. Don't wash it off. Just put me some lashes on the outer corner." Okay, but sign this paper first. So you can't come back and say that it was our fault because this was your request. And 2 instructors heard it, and 3 students heard it, and 2 clients also heard it. You know what I mean? So you've got to be specific and make sure. Okay.
Would you in here is lash bath a part of the service, or is it something that's charged extra? Okay.
It's part of, yes. We'll talk dollars later. Okay. So now 2 options for prepping. And some people will say, well, she came in with her lashes clean. And say you're in a pinch and you don't have lash shampoo, you can come in with your lash primer. But I am a lash bath every time kind of girl because I want that retention on point. If my client is oilier skin, or if I saw like mascara or a little bit of eyeshadow on the lash line and I shampooed, I can come back in with that primer, okay, to strip away that dirt and that debris and that oil. But I have to have that conversation with her. Look, girl, I don't know what you wore to keep that eyeshadow on, but I'm struggling to get it off. So I'm going to put this primer on. And once I use that primer, then we're going to go in and place the lashes. But I need you to remember next time, no makeup. Okay, easy peasy, easy as that. You know, it's not like, God dang it, girl, I told you last time not to wear makeup, and here you are again. I mean, unless you know her like that, then you can do that. But other than that, let's just keep it professional and to the point. Okay. And then just your breast practices, and I'm gonna play a video to show how to do that. Okay. Now your taping methods, you do have taping methods. We have gel pad only, tape only, gel pad and tape. I never want to see gel pad only. Tape only is if there's a specific reason that the gel pad won't stick, like if she's allergic, if she's sensitive to the gel pad, or if it's just not sticking properly, then we can go just tape. But 100% of the time, and this is what we see here, is the gel pad and the tape, because this is the safest practice for you. So there are some places that say, oh, well, this is a hydrating treatment, upcharge, or they include it in the price. Okay. But most of the time, this is just to help create a barrier to secure the lower lash line. And then the tape helps to keep those lower lashes from creeping up into my workspace, because if I'm working and there's a lot of movement, those little lashes could slide out. So we put that tape to keep them in place. Okay. And I'll show y'all how to do that also. There's a little video. Okay. Onliners, do y'all have any questions? Are y'all still with me? Did I put them to sleep? Is my mic on? Or verbally say no, because I can't see y'all when I have the presentation up. It's not like Zoom where I can see y'all. But I still would like y'all's faces on screen because I like talking to y'all and not those little black squares. Okay, I'm going to pull up the next presentation. So give me 2 shakes. Let me go back to week 1. Where's my material? Whoa, right here. So now our next presentation is going to be lash growth cycles. So we're going to help you understand the lash growth cycles and how it's essential to proper lash extension application. So you have growth phases, and this will be an assignment, okay? So your anagen phase, your catagen phase, and your telogen phase, if you're ever asked what are the phases you use, and then so there's controversy calculate There's like Puerto Rico, a 14 or a 15. Oh, hold on. I lost you. Okay, so with the tweezers, and here's what I'm going to tell you guys. No. Talked about the foundation. A natural healthy lash line is the foundation to that application. So when you see these girls with these strip lash look, baby girl, 5-10 years down the line, I don't know what you're gonna have, but you keep getting that thick and bold and full lash, can't help you after that. You know what I mean? Because your lashes still have to grow. They still need the nourishment. They still need to live their best life while they have lashes on. You know what I mean? And we got to help that thrive. Okay. Oh, that was quick and short. Short and sweet. Any questions on that?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so now I'm gonna play some videos. Oops, I got out of the classroom. Oopsie doopsie. Sorry. I'm still here. And they tell me you got to do lecture in an hour. I talked too much. Okay, so let's go back to week 1. All the way. All right, so these videos, the person talking, you can barely hear her talking. So I'm going to talk for her. So we're going to go over sanitation first. Am I sharing the screen with y'all? Nope, hold on. I lost you. Okay, so with the tweezers, and here's what I'm going to tell you guys. No.
So,
Hold on. Hold on.
You want to cleanse them.
Okay, so
And water.
I want you guys to build the habit of sanitation. So if you're working on your mannequin or if you're working on a person, I want you after every service to go and sanitize your tweezers. And this is that process. You're going to wash them with soap and water. You're going to rinse them off. You're going to dry them off. You're going to drop them in Barbicide for 10 minutes. We all have a smartphone. Hey Siri, set a timer for 10 minutes. When that timer goes off, you go and grab your tweezers, rinse them off, dry them off, and then put them away. Okay, so this is what that looks like.
This is called cleaning. Then you will use this solution, Barbicide, to make an EPA registered disinfectant using the appropriate ingredients, which is 10 gallons to 1 scoop of water. And you will place it.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to tell you about Barbicide. It comes in more than one container. And what I mean by that is you can buy a gallon, you can buy this size, there's smaller ones, and then you can even buy what looks like a Tide Pod. Okay, read the directions because if that concentration is stronger, you're going to have to use specific amounts of water to dilute it to what it needs to be. If it looks black or milky or like oily, it's not mixed properly. You don't have enough water in there. So make sure you're mixing it to the exact amount, because if it's too much or too little, you're either going to damage your tweezers or you're not going to sanitize them properly. So for when we're mixing it here, you mix 32 ounces of water. So you pour the water first and then 2 ounces of Barbicide. You measure the Barbicide and then you pour that into the water and then it mixes properly. Okay, because sometimes you can lose track. Oh, how much water did I dispense? Especially if you're using smaller cups to measure out the water, you get confused. So do the water first because you can always go back and check that. But also you don't want that splash factor because you need to make sure that you use gloves or a tongue to take your tweezers out of the Barbicide because that stuff is really strong. And if you get it on your hands, make sure you wash it off. Okay, I've even used the Cavi wipes and then it's like, oh, I can feel that. I'll have to go wash my hands. So we should have gloves on there so you can grab that Cavi wipe so you can wipe off your table and your chair. So you should be sanitizing your area, whether it's classroom or client, you should be sanitizing your work area with those wipes. Putting a glove on, wiping your entire table off, your chair off. If you turn the light on, the switch on the light, so on and so forth. And then we need to sweep. So when you're in the client rooms, that's part of your grade sheet, making sure that you sweep. So we need to build those habits now because you're going to carry this over to wherever you go. And if you go work for XYZ Lash Salon, they don't want to have to train you. They want to see that you're already self-sufficient, you know what your sanitation, and that you can lash. All they want to have to come in and do is train you their way. That's it. But you should already have all the basics down. Okay. And I can tell who's already been lashing and who hasn't been. And I always ask, so who's been lashing? Some people won't answer. But then when I see their work, I'm like, she didn't want to tell me. All right. And then I'll ask again. I'm petty. I'll tell you that right now. And you can buy these containers. I do like these because the